reflect those of WWDB, its staff, or management.
You are listening to In the Know with David O. Informative, substantive, intelligent talk radio on 860 AM WWDB. And now, your host, Philadelphia Councilman David O.
Good afternoon. This is David O. Welcome to the show. You are In the Know with David O. Here at WWDB 860 AM. Today's show is brought to you by Weinerman Pain and Wellness. They do a fantastic job returning those who have been injured back into the workforce. At this time, let me do this. Let me just tell you about today's show. We are starting today with Michael Manning, CEO of CarePartners Plus. He's got a program, Get Vets Help, but he is a fascinating person. He served as an officer in the U.S. Army Green Berets, the U.S. Army Special Forces, and then he transitioned into the healthcare industry, ultimately running a hospital and then several hospitals, and ultimately becoming an innovator in the healthcare field. But he has got technology that is being considered by the White House right now and may bring a very impactful service to those who have served. And so we're going to talk to Mike Manning of CarePartners Plus. And then we're going to hear from the LullaNAs. These are two twin sisters. They're sitting here with their guitar. We're going to listen to their single just as a way of introduction, and then we're going to talk to them because they are making music, and of course it's so challenging to in the arts economy to make it, but they have been doing wonderfully, although they're not quite there yet, and so your support so important. And then Philadelphia is so proud of our Italian market, and we have Michele Gambino, business manager of the 9th Street Italian Market, and they are having a festival. It is Philadelphia's largest block party. And so with that, let me just remind you that you can hear our shows by going to www.wwdbam.com. Last week, we had Dr. Douglas Smith, M.D. He's the director of the Center for Brain Injury and Repair, Department of Neurology at the University of Pennsylvania. And he talked about traumatic brain injury and the technology that's out there and discoveries that are occurring to repair the brain. He's a top-notch expert. But he makes the subject very easy to understand. And then we were joined by Alex Archowski, founder and director of the Greater Philadelphia Veterans Network. He's a OEF veteran, that means Operation Enduring Freedom, served in the Middle East as a U.S. Navy search and rescue swimmer. And he has a nonprofit that helps military personnel transition from the military world to the civilian world. Well, at this time, let me just welcome a friend, a person who's been on the show before, and that is Mike Manning. Mike, welcome to the show again.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you for all your service also.
Oh, no, thank you very much. And, well, for our listeners, could you just tell them a little bit of what you do right now? As CEO of CarePartners Plus, what does your company do?
We are software developers, and what we've done is we've designed a technology platform that allows secure communications between patients, veterans, and their service providers. And
in particular, you have got some exciting news because we're talking about all this technology and what it means and how it works. But right now, there are a couple of pilot programs that are going to be run under the auspices of the White House. What's happening there?
Well, we're talking about the newly established Office of American Innovation. It's Jared Kushner. And we were selected out of many different companies. 6 were selected and brought forward to pilot their capabilities, particularly to help end suicide.
Right. Now, is that suicide for everyone or suicide, in the veterans community in particular?
It begins within the veteran community, but everything we do has a public application.
Yes.
So first, we want to help tackle this insidious problem for veterans, which
Yes.
includes homelessness and opioid addiction, several triggers that actually oftentimes, unfortunately, leads to suicide. And so our platform is unique in that sense that we have a very comprehensive platform that has applications to many different conditions.
Yeah, and just for the listeners, Mike has been on the show before, and I have held a number of hearings about, health care services for veterans and ensuring that they get the best health care possible. And, one of the frustrations is that we have, while the VA does many wonderful things and very good things, there are certainly glaring problems, and you may have read about them in the press. And an issue in today's world, with all our technology and know-how, isn't there a way to better serve our veterans? And along comes Mike Manning, CarePartners Plus, and they, in fact, have patented technology that delivers in real time an ability to serve veterans and, quite frankly, anyone else who this would apply to ensure that they are not being ignored, that quality of standards are being provided, and that there are consequences to failures within the system. Mike, would you say that's a good summary?
I would. So on the accountability piece,
yes.
Just recently the president had signed into legislation the Accountability Act, and that was specific to holding people accountable for providing the services that veterans have earned. We actually give that legislation teeth because part of our capability is transparency. And because everything starts and finishes with a veteran on our platform, veterans actually verify whether or not the service that they have earned and requested was delivered, and whether it was delivered properly.
Right. Now that is a huge population.
It is. It's designed actually for the entire veteran population, all 22 million, as well as their family members. So our platform's designed for specific individuals to submit and receive information. And in the case of the veterans, the statistics are that there are 3 dependents to every 1 veteran. So it's about 60 million people.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. And so this is not a thing that needs to be developed for the future. It's a thing that's ready to go.
It is, and that's why we're excited. We've worked for about 9.5 years in research and development, very similar to medical device companies and
yes.
pharmaceutical modality companies. It requires an enormous amount of time because of human subject trials that you have to involve, even with software. And that's what we've done. We've served our time, so to speak. Have conducted clinical trials around the country. One of our most significant was right here in Philadelphia, University of Pennsylvania. These are all published trials, and also we've been published in peer-reviewed journals as well as textbooks that are being used now to teach informatics. So what we've been doing is really, really blossomed.
Yeah, and might I say, with a significant personal contribution and sacrifice to yourself.
Sure. Well, that's part of the requirement, People like us, the branches of service that we've all served in, it's normal. Actually, we don't even think of it as a sacrifice. We just do it because it needs to get done, and fortunately, we could afford to do it ourselves.
Yeah, and let me just tell our listeners that Mike is just uniquely qualified. You hear the word uniquely a lot of times. I don't overuse that word, believe me, because it just loses value. But it's something because Mike holds patents on his technology, which is truly, in my opinion, innovative, and I'm glad to see the White House think so, because now when I say it, it's just me saying it. Sure. So that's one. Number two, his experience in healthcare, in the healthcare industry, with hospitals, with insurance, all those type of things. But prior to that, he was a combat medic in the U.S. Army Special Forces and then an officer in the U.S. Special Forces. And for those who don't know, the common term is U.S. Army Green Beret. And so he is very experienced and very committed to, high-level quality, high-level service at great danger and risk to himself. And so he brings those three experiences and qualifications to presenting this technology as a solution for our veterans, number one, and then from there to the general public. Mike, would you tell our listeners just a little bit about yourself, because I'm telling them, but they need to hear it from you.
Well, actually, thank you very much again for all your complimentary words. I think the councilman has done a fine job of talking about me. What I would like to talk about are some of the differences about our technology.
Yes.
Because in our space, there are often common terms that are used, but they don't mean the same thing.
Right.
And I brought along one of my associates, Diane Freed, who's also a 30-year healthcare professional. She's a master's prepared critical care nurse. And actually, Diane and I have worked ever since I got out of the service. In fact, we worked for 25 years, 30 years together in different settings. So she's well qualified. She's got all the skeletons. She could really, tell all the real stories. But I asked her to come specifically to talk about the distinction in our platform, because she's responsible for developing it.
Okay. Well, welcome to the show. Pull yourself right up to the microphone.
Thanks, David.
And, you sound loud and clear.
Being here. Yes, in terms of the veteran safety net, what we enable is we put the control back in the veteran's hands. So using our technology, which the vet can access with a smartphone, a tablet, or even online, they have 24/7 connectivity with their service providers. And with the Safety Net hotline, which information can actually also get transmitted to the White House level for specific issues, we're focusing on those high-impact problems that the veterans are currently facing that Mike mentioned, such as suicide, homelessness, and the opioid epidemic. And I often talk about our system in terms of it's an early warning system.
Yes.
So, again, with our over 100 years of experience, if you look at the whole CPP team in healthcare, we know that the problems that the veterans face are very complex with many different causes and contributing factors. So what our system does is it lets you detect the underlying potential triggers that may cause a veteran to commit suicide if they're not addressed early. So they're able to report if they're having suicidal thoughts or self-harm thoughts or symptoms of PTSD. That information is immediately transmitted out to their care team for more efficient follow-up and care. And as Mike said, everything is tracked within the system. So it's the veteran saying, yes, I got the service, and yes, it was satisfactory. So we're different from that perspective in that we will enable the VA to proactively be able to see, if veterans are kind of heading off course. It also acts as a backup for their vet crisis line. So, again, we work with veterans in developing the product, and one of the concerns that we've had is that oftentimes, if they're calling the hotline, they might get a busy signal or they might get put on hold. This Safety Net hotline gives them another access point to be able to access the services they need in a timely manner. For the homeless vet population, which the latest stats show is around 40,000 vets, they do have a higher risk of suicide, 20% higher than among all veterans. And so with our system, again, they're in contact with not only their care team, but they can also be in contact with community resources because we're pulling together not only VA providers, but also non-VA providers that are sanctioned by the VA, such as their veteran service organizations and community resources. It takes a village to take care of our veterans. And so what the system does is lets all those people be connected on a single platform.
Right.
And in terms of, I'm just going to touch real quickly on the opioid epidemic, we have a tool that's for the care team that lets them more closely be able to monitor the veterans, if they're going off track. So in other words, if they are being weaned off of opioids and they're starting to have, symptoms of withdrawal, or lets the care team know the treatment efficacy. So not only does it benefit the veterans, but it also benefits the care team as well.
Okay, and, it brings to mind that one of, my friends who also happened to have served in the Special Forces, had not been treated for TBI, traumatic brain injury, though it was revealed to him when he was leaving the military, and then he was told to go to the VA and get treatment. But that's a very specific type of medical expertise that was not available to him. And ultimately, 16 years later, he's untreated. And recently, I took him down to the Philadelphia VA because we have University of Penn and all these great hospitals here. But that is the type of thing where it's easy to confuse for maybe a primary care physician that the patient or the veteran is showing signs of PTSD rather than an actual physical injury to the brain. And that's the type of thing your technology would be able to resolve without any effort on the part of the veteran, him or herself.
Agreed. Diane and I were looking at each other for a second. Sorry about that. And so, yes, we make it very easy for the veteran to communicate their issues. Now, there are a couple of things we learned very quickly. That a lot of veterans do not like to reply that they have a mental health need.
Yes.
And so by having these focus groups with veterans and homeless veterans, we've learned a lot. Specifically, they rather call it that they're having spiritual types of needs. And so rather than provide them with a mental health screen, it's more of spiritual awareness. They feel more comfortable talking about their problems that way, or identifying with their issues. And the same with the homeless vets. They actually don't like to be considered homeless.
Right.
And so really what they're looking for is a way to be treated humanely and be given some assistance to make a transition. But what I've also been told is that one thing that really pushes them over the edge is when people say they're going to provide help, but they don't follow through.
Right.
Which happens a lot. And that's really where we can help on the VA side. There will be nothing that falls through the cracks when they use our system because we maintain a record, and it goes all the way up to the Secretary of the VA.
Right.
Dave Shulkin, who I know you're aware of this, he's from Philadelphia.
Yes.
And he's got a great reputation. And we actually did a personal project for him back in December to help him keep one of the promises that he pledged before he was secretary. He had committed to the Commission of Care that they would give same-day access to veterans for primary care visits.
Okay.
And they had no way to verify that actually occurred. So you got to imagine 1,700 facilities across the country. And really what they were required to do was call them on the phone to ask whether or not the veteran was getting the help. Everybody rolled their eyes and laughed about that. What answer would there be other than,
yes,
sure, yeah.
Sure, everybody's happy.
There you go. So with our system, it actually electronically has an audit trail.
Right.
And we're able to report that up. And so that's another thing that they're considering. So we've given them an enormous number of valuable capabilities. And I want to put a plug in for you. We wouldn't be doing this if it weren't for you.
Oh, well,
because
thank
you got us started on this 2 years ago. And had you not budged and pushed us in that direction, we wouldn't be as heavily involved. So,
well, I'm a true believer. I've been to your location. I've been engaged with your presentations, and at the end of the day, what we're all looking for is a solution, because we shouldn't have these kind of problems. Not with all the knowledge and technology and resources that we have in this country. And so I really thank you for what you're doing. Now tell us about these pilot programs, because I think there's 2 coming up, right?
Sure. There are two. I'll talk about the White House. Diane, why don't you talk about the homeless project, the Opportunity Project?
Sure. Right now we're working with the Department of Commerce in a project for homeless, and so we're adapting our system for a special application which will let the homeless, again, be able to report their basic needs, using the application. Also, we'll have some additional functionality because one of the pieces of information that we've received, again, from the focus group is that oftentimes when they're trying to seek temporary shelter, they can't find shelter or they don't know the requirements that are required. So we can provide that information directly to them and also can help them with some of the applications process, the interactive forms that need to be completed. Once they complete those, they're available to them within their personal records. So, it's very frustrating to have to give your same information multiple times. And just like it is for us, it is for our vets. So.
Yes.
And that's really a huge piece of work that we're doing. We're taking all the forms that a veteran ordinarily has to fill out, God only knows how many times, because every time they access a service, apparently they need to
provide the same information again and again and again and again.
Right. So we're giving them their own website, all 22 million.
Right.
Okay. And on that site, they'll have these forms. They'll be able to fill them out one time, and then they'll be able to share them securely with whomever needs them. So none of this duplication. On the White House project, the homeless project is actually being done in conjunction with the VA. So it's the VA homeless population through the Department of Commerce, but they also want it to be available to people outside of the VA. So to your question earlier. And it's actually, the pilot's actually a due diligence process for the VA to be able to ascertain that our capabilities all work the way that you would expect them to. The White House is in this process where they're trying to determine which vendor can provide a solution that's best fitting for veterans. In our case, what we've offered to do with a couple of the other vendors is to partner up with them because, as Diane said, it takes a village. And so what we're looking to do is combine capabilities so that we make it easy for a veteran to be able to get all the resources they can in one location. That decision, as I know it, is going to be made somewhere around August of this year. So the homeless project's going to last for about 12 weeks. It's going to be conducted here in Philadelphia. So we really feel fortunate that we'll be able to work with the continuum of care here in Philadelphia in conjunction with the VA hospital here in Center City. So I'll keep you informed as we go along, and I really appreciate this opportunity. I would very much appreciate being able to thank a few people if I can.
Sure, please do.
Okay. Well, there are several, and I'll just kind of go through them very quickly. But let me start with you, because, again, without you, I wouldn't be out there doing this. Then there's Senator Pat Toomey. There's Congressman Ryan Costello's office. There's Commissioner Joe Gallo's office. And there's the candidate for U.S. Senate, Chris Hart, and his campaign. They've all contributed to helping us in one way or another. There are other professionals, Nick Panarella from the SF Association.
Yes. Special Forces Association.
There you go. And then there's the Secretary, David Shulkin. There's Dr. Sharif El-Nahal, who works for the Secretary. There's Dr. Paul Tibbetts, who's a vet, OINT. There's Mark Wine, who heads up, previously headed up the CRADA program, and now he's a senior advisor. There's Dave Marin, and there's Drew Zachary, who's heading up the Department of Commerce. We have a multitude of people that don't work directly for us. Dr. Rick Shannon, Dr. Kim Kuhar, Dr. Nicole Oswald, Dr. Mary Cooper, Dr. Barry Straub, Dr. Susan Day, Dr. Kathy Rose, Dr. Kathy Madden, Dr. Joe Mambu and his wife Angie, Dr. Jim Mara, Dr. David Cohen. You want to give credit to them because we would have never gotten through the clinical trials without their involvement. And then everybody on our team, you know who you are, but a special thank you to Joni Guidry, who's recently deceased, who's helped us for the past 20 years.
Yes, well, certainly, as you can tell, there are so many people engaged in a project of this magnitude and this much impact. But thank you so very much for being here, both of you, Diane, Mike. And I'll ask our listeners to stay tuned, because when we come back from commercial break, we're going to start by listening to a song by the LullaNAs, and then we're going to find out what they're up to and what their challenges are, and they're going to perform live for us. So come right back.
You are listening to In the Know with David O. Informative, substantive, intelligent talk radio on 860 AM WWDB.
My friends, this is Joe Kraus. You've heard me on Philadelphia radio now for over 20 years, and you know I don't often endorse products or people unless they are real game changers. I want to tell you about Weinerman Pain and Wellness, located in Center City, Philadelphia. And at the end of this short personal endorsement, I want you to consider Weinerman Pain and Wellness. If you are recovering from an injury, if you or a family member has been diagnosed with a disorder that has stopped you in your tracks, or if you're like me, determined to learn about wellness while getting yourself prepared to stay healthy so you can enjoy the blessings of your family. Remember the name of this warm and caring location, Weinerman Pain and Wellness. Why should you consider Weinerman Pain and Wellness? Because they are who you expect them to be. Weinerman Pain and Wellness, on the web at WeinermanPainandWellness.com.
Weinerman Pain and Wellness, located at 100 South Broad Street, just south of City Hall. Call Weinerman Pain and Wellness at 215-988-9503. That's 215-988-9503. Call today. Today's broadcast is brought to you by the Philly Labor RX Injured Workers Pharmacy Network, featuring PPC Pharmacy, First Choice Pharmacy, and Precision Scripts, providing injured workers with premium products and services from the point of injury through the entire healing process. The Philly Labor RX Pharmacy Network cares about injured workers.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
All right, welcome back. I hope you were listening, because we have what I think is some great technology that may finally bring an answer to the problem we've all been hearing about, and that is providing the service, the quality of service that we should be providing to those who have served our country and defended our freedom. And thanks to Mike Manning and to Diane. Mike is CEO of CarePartners Plus. And so if you want to learn more about it, check out this podcast. If you want to share it with your friends, it's www.wwdbam.com. Right now, we're in for a special treat. I have here sitting with me the LullaNAs. They're twin sisters, and we're going to start by listening to their single, Don't Say. All right, that is Don't Say by the LullaNAs. Atisha, Nishida, Lula, they make the LullaNAs. And welcome to the show, the both of you.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, so now that song has an interesting story because you were telling me that you posted that about a year ago, and it had like about 200 listens, something like that, and then it got picked up by Spotify, and now it's got like 45,000 listens.
Yep.
Yeah, we were pretty surprised by it.
We're pretty excited because that's one of our only originals out right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So it was very exciting for us to see that.
And so how I know the LullaNAs is they entered PHL Live Center Stage in the country folk category. And I always tell people, like, of the categories that, because I'm very interested in the music economy, and I don't have any skills or ability to say much about the substance of the art. But the country folk category was just so dynamic and interesting. And, one of the things that I could say about the LullaNAs is not only they have great music, because to be a finalist after like over 100 top submissions, and we have some top-notch people selecting, each one of these entries, and then they perform live. But they also have a persistence. And that is so critical, and I think every guest that's been on my show that has been successful or going through something, I'm looking at Mike Manning right now, persistence, it is so critical. Now, for the audience, I'm looking at two very young ladies. When I say young, I'm thinking you guys are in your 20s?
Yeah.
Okay, so, and kind of recently out of college, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've chosen a pretty tough career road here.
We tend to do that for ourselves.
Okay. So this is not the first time?
No, we always take the long road.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so let me ask you this. How did you get into country folk music?
I don't know. We grew up listening to it.
Yeah.
And we just started writing together about 5 years ago, and when we started writing, we didn't focus on like what genre is this going to be. We just kind of sat down, and whatever came out it had a country-ish twang to it.
Right.
So we kind of just went with that a little bit.
And the stories.
And yeah. So we went with that, and since then, we don't try to make every song country, but there's always a little hint of it just naturally placed in there.
Now, kind of like as we were talking prior to the show, you guys are twins,
yes.
and so but you weren't singing together, you weren't performing together, and it was only recently that one of you picked up the guitar and started learning how to play the guitar, and so all of this is relatively recent, is it not?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It started about 5 years ago, literally at nothing. Like she picked up the guitar, started singing with it, and I was like, I'm going to sing with you too. And then it sounded okay, and we're like, wait, what's happening?
And was this when you were in college?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so you went to Penn State, the both of you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, could you identify yourself for the audience and tell us your major?
Okay, cool. I'm Atisha, and I majored in communications and minored in business.
I'm Nishida, and I majored in marketing, and I minored in IST and supply chain.
And so nobody majored in music.
Not even close.
and Nishida, you didn't actually take formal guitar lessons, is that right?
No, I did not.
So you're kind of the self-taught guitar player, which is not necessarily easy because it's not just like kind of like an academic thing. You have to actually have some musical capabilities, fingering, rhythm, and all that. And did you find it came natural to you?
At first, I'm pretty sure my family wanted me to stop. It sounded horrible.
As a father, I would say, I would like you not to start down the road of music.
Pretty sure it disrupted the household a lot. But one day it just clicked.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started playing. We started off with covers. So I started learning from those, and then one day
Yeah, once you start playing your favorite songs, it means something different to you.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you try harder, and
Right.
it means more. So.
Now let me ask you this: why did you start singing together? I mean, you've grown up your whole lives together. You didn't do music, and just all of a sudden one day you're playing the guitar, you're singing songs. Like, that must have been pretty odd.
Yeah, I knew this question would come up, so
Yes.
I tried thinking back earlier, and I'm trying to remember, like, the exact moment this happened. But I don't know, music has just felt important to us our whole lives. We didn't even know why. Like, we'd hear a song, and it would stick with us, and it would be a memory. But, like, we just thought everyone felt that way. And she would be, like, belting Celine Dion, like, completely on as a child. But, again, I thought everyone just sounded like that. I mean, I didn't think anything of it. And then in high school, actually, was our first time we sang in front of a crowd for our senior talent show. And after that, we just... after, like, talking to people after and just the reaction and how we felt on stage, pushing our, like, emotions and our songs out, it just clicked. And we wanted to do it full time, like, at that moment.
Yeah, but then we went to Penn State, and it was a great experience. But
Yeah.
I think the first time we were forced to write our first song, it was when we were, like, our first time away from home in New York City.
Yeah.
We did internships there, and we were by ourselves, and we had a lot of emotions. I just learned guitar, and then, like,
Yeah.
a song poured out of us.
Right. That was the first time we, like, put ourselves in a place we weren't used to in life. And, like, everything we were feeling, like, she was just learning new chords, and I just started singing, and we're like, did we just write a song?
And they were like, yeah.
Wow.
That's it.
So you have a song ready to perform for all of us in here in our audience. What's the name of the song?
This one's called I Left My Heart.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's hear it.
Okay.
Struck 12, I had to leave. You grabbed my hand and kissed
right, we have applause. Thank you back there. Thank you. Well, that's fantastic. And, original music, making things happen, the LullaNAs. For our listeners, where can they learn more about you? Where can they go to hear your music? And what events have you got coming up?
As far as social media, we post almost every day on our Instagram.
Yeah.
Not to be one of those people, but we do. Our tag is at LullaNAs, LullaNAs. And then, Facebook, YouTube, just type in LullaNAs. And as far as shows, we have a show this Thursday. We're playing with Gina Zoe. She was on The Voice.
Yes.
So it's very exciting.
Where is that going to be? What time?
At Bourbon and Branch, and doors are at 8 p.m.
Okay, and where is that located?
In Philly.
In Philly. See, for us older guys, we don't know where that is in Philly. Say it again. Where is it?
It's called Bourbon and Branch.
Bourbon and Branch?
Yep.
Okay, 8 p.m. in Philadelphia.
This Thursday.
Okay, so for those who want to meet the LullaNAs in person, they are lovely, they're talented, they're original, and they're out there trying to make their way in the music industry. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Okay, wonderful. Well, listen, we're going to break for commercial. When we come back, we're going to talk about a Philadelphia favorite, the Italian Market Festival, so stay tuned.
You are listening to In the Know with David O. Informative, substantive, intelligent talk radio on 860 AM WWDB.
My friends, this is Joe Krause. You've heard me on Philadelphia radio now for over 20 years, and you know I don't often endorse products or people unless they are real game changers. I want to tell you about Weinerman Pain and Wellness, located in Center City, Philadelphia. And at the end of this short personal endorsement, I want you to consider Weinerman Pain and Wellness. If you are recovering from an injury, if you or a family member has been diagnosed with a disorder that has stopped you in your tracks, or if you're like me, determined to learn about wellness while getting yourself prepared to stay healthy so you can enjoy the blessings of your family. Remember the name of this warm and caring location, Weinerman Pain and Wellness. Why should you consider Weinerman Pain and Wellness? Because they are who you expect them to be. Weinerman Pain and Wellness on the web at WeinermanPainandWellness.com.
Weinerman Pain and Wellness, located at 100 South Broad Street, just south of City Hall. Call Weinerman Pain and Wellness at 215-988-9503. That's 215-988-9503. Call today. Today's broadcast is brought to you by the Philly Labor RX Injured Workers Pharmacy Network, featuring PPC Pharmacy, First Choice Pharmacy, and Precision Scripts, providing injured workers with premium products and services from the point of injury through the entire healing process. The Philly Labor RX Pharmacy Network cares about injured workers.
At any given moment, somewhere in America, a baby is taking a first step, a developmental milestone. But for too many parents, a baby's first steps aren't just a milestone. They're a miracle. These are the parents of babies who were born prematurely or with birth defects. It's a crisis affecting more than 500,000 babies in the United States each year. You can help them by joining volunteers like you who walk in March for Babies. The money you raise funds research and local programs that help babies overcome the challenges of premature birth and birth defects. Together, our steps make stronger, healthier babies a reality for thousands of families. Sign up today at marchforbabies.org to take the steps that help make milestones and even miracles possible. Who will you march for?
Introducing the YMCA. What, you already know the why? Or so you think. Sure, you know the why for a swim, a workout, even a game of hoops. But did you know we're more than that? We're a cause. When you take your jump shot at the Y, someone else is getting job training. Take a cardio class, while kids are in an after-school enrichment program. Practice your downward-facing dog as a teen practices her leadership skills. That's the why. We work with people no matter their age, income, or background and give them the opportunity to learn, grow, and thrive, all with one simple goal in mind, to strengthen our community. And we've got so much more that does just that. So while you might think of the Y as that place for lifting weights, we're also about lifting entire communities. Introducing the Y. We're so much more than a place. We're a cause. Visit ymca.net/more.
Welcome back. This is David O. You're in the know with David O. It's my pleasure to be here to bring you interesting, informative, substantive information from experts and people from our community. We just listened to the LullaNAs, and if you want to learn more about them, hey, the simple thing to do is simply Google them. The LullaNAs is spelled LullaNAS. The LullaNAs. Well, there's a big event in Philadelphia. We have a lot of events, but this is really one that people, especially families, really enjoy. Just the variety of things. It's 2 days, and to tell us about it is what can I say? Is it the business manager? Yeah, the business manager of the 9th Street Italian Market. Which is Michele Gambino. So welcome to the show, Michele.
Thank you, Councilman O.
Oh, hey, listen, this is a great event. When is it?
So it's this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, May 20th, 21st, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. both days, rain or shine.
All right, there you go, rain or shine. And, it is kind of described as Philly's largest block party. And it's a pretty good description.
It is. It's a task because we stem 7 blocks on South 9th Street. We go from Warrenton to Fitzwater.
Yes.
And there's a lot of environmental factors involved with that. But it is the largest in streetscape.
Yes. And, what I understand is that this is the largest outdoor continuous market in the United States.
That's correct. In 2015, we celebrated our 100 years.
Wow.
Being an organized business district.
Yes.
The market was existing prior to that,
yes,
but we were organized as a business district 100 years prior to that. And that meant that a group of merchants got together, they chartered themselves, they set their boundaries, and they functioned as a unit.
Right.
And so you know the importance of small business districts.
Yes. Oh, sure.
And small business, you're a very great supporter of small business, and we thank you for that. But we're a district of small businesses, and we still continue to be a district of small businesses, which is unique today because we have been operating for over 100 years. We are in a very strong neighborhood in Philadelphia, the Bella Vista neighborhood. We're very lucky to still have community-minded people in the neighborhood. We have 2 great civic organizations that we work with. And so the neighborhood really is what makes a place like South 9th Street Shopping District continue to survive.
Right. And the neighborhood has changed, but it does retain like kind of a distinct immigrant flavor to it, and especially when you're talking about food and things like that, it's really been a very attractive part of our city.
Thank you. I love that you say that, and we're very happy that we have the different flavors of all the different immigrants that have decided to settle there. People are still wanting to live there. They want to raise their families there.
Right.
It's very community-minded, very family-oriented, and it's a really nice place to live.
Right. What are some of the types of things that our listeners might find at the Italian Market, and in particular at this festival?
Well, the festival is unique in that we have over 100 vendors set up outside. About over 30 of them are food vendors.
Right.
So you're going to get every type of food, from tacos to porchetta to pizza to crab French fries, which I tasted today from one of our vendors.
Oh, my. Wow. You're making me hungry here.
I know. It's hard. It's hard.
Yes. Boy.
We also have the traditional meats and cheeses that you'll see on the street, the macaroni, the meatballs.
Right.
The different types of sauces, which you'll find. And then, of course, the adult beverages, the Peroni, the coconut drinks, which are really nice. Corn on the cob in the hot flavoring, with the butter dripping down from
right.
it. It's just like it's 2 days of eating. It's
crazy.
Right.
There's seafood. There's Asian cuisine,
Correct.
Mexican, Italian.
Correct. There's all of that. Yes.
Yeah. So much, and then in between all of this, there's the actual market itself. So while you're strolling through, you could buy some fresh fruit, some other type of specialty type foods and spices and things like that.
Yes, so the market will function as normal, plus all the additional outside vendors that we have. We do have the oldest continuous operating outdoor curb stand market in the nation.
Yes.
So the curb stands will all be open. And this year, for the first time, we're adding food trucks to the festival.
Okay.
To add more food.
Yes, even more food upon the food.
More choices of food.
Right.
Because we just want to offer as much as we can to the public that comes. A lot of people celebrate that weekend.
Yes.
It's like a reunion for families. People gather down there. A lot of the streets off of 9th Street have street block parties. So it's an absolute Philadelphia tradition.
Yeah, and one of the signatures is the procession. Could you tell our listeners about that? Make sure they get there on time.
I will. So Sunday is my favorite day at the festival, and it's right out of the Godfather movie.
Yes.
We have a procession of saints. It's tremendous. There's about 19 saints that get processed from St. Mary's Parish to St. Paul's Parish. And it's just a sight that you normally don't see anywhere else but there.
Right. Right.
And it's because of the heritage of the community and the neighborhood. And the Mexican community has completely embraced it.
Yes.
I believe it's probably traditional for them too.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have this great procession on Sunday where people pin money onto the saints, and
right.
you say a prayer, and then supposedly your prayer is supposed to come true.
Oh, well, if you're there on Sunday, your prayer will come true.
Right now, I'm just praying for no rain. So
far, the weather is beautiful. And then tell us about the grease pole. We're talking about that. Yeah, folks, they have a grease pole. So
okay.
Bring 2 sets of clothes.
So we have a lot of great things that go on in the festival. We have the procession of saints. We have a half bowl tournament. We have 4 stages of entertainment, and we have a grease pole. And the grease pole actually dates back to medieval times.
Yes.
Where it was used as a form of torture, in a sense.
Yes.
Nice
transition.
But now it's an activity, a fun activity that people have embraced, and you work in a team to get to the top of the pole, where there are prizes.
Covered in lard or something, right?
Oh, right. The pole's covered in lard. I forgot to mention that.
Yes. Pretty slippery.
So it's like a dirty activity. So, but the prizes at the top are well worth the effort, and it shows people how to work as a team.
Yes.
And so at the top, you'll see traditional like meats and cheeses hanging, and then there'll be
nice.
envelopes filled with like money and gift cards and things like that.
Right.
So last year, no one reached the top.
Uh-oh. So do we double the prize?
So we gave the prizes to the last team that survived.
Okay. Yeah.
But we lowered the top landing this year by 8 feet. To try to get people to get to the top.
I don't know. If there's any athletic folks out there, come on out, give it a shot.
So you work as a unit, and the idea is to put the smallest person at the top to keep climbing up, and this way the lightest person is at the top, and all like the heavier weights are down the bottom, supporting them.
Oh,
and then you have to clean off the pole from the lard. So a lot of people bring towels, and they just start throwing the lard off the pole to get up to the top.
Wow.
It's very exciting. It is actually very exciting to watch.
Sounds pretty comical.
It's exciting.
Now tell us about the 4 music stages. What's going to be going on there?
So we have we have a stage at Christian Street, which is a DJ stage.
Yes.
And that's a well-known DJ in Philadelphia, Johnny Luch. And then on Washington Avenue, we have a stage with live bands. Mm-hmm. And we also have a stage with live bands on Ellsworth Street.
Yes.
And then this year we have Spread the Whiz Zone, which is going to be a Pats. Get it?
Okay.
The Whiz?
Sure, I got you. Whiz, with or without. Yeah.
Right. And that's like the family activity area. And the owner of Pats started a foundation, and the Spread the Whiz Zone is to support his foundation. And there will be a stage there of a DJ and live entertainment.
Wow.
So there's a lot to do.
Right.
You can keep yourself occupied through the entertainment. That's all free. The Whiz Zone, all the activities in the Whiz Zone are free. And there's going to be a face painter, a balloon artist, a magician. Kids are going to be able to make cannolis there.
Wow.
So there's going to be a bunch of activity there. Felicia Punzo is singing. She's a Philadelphia, well-known Philadelphia
I recognize the
artist.
name. Sure. It's fantastic. She's going to be there.
She's going to be performing there.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Sunday, during the procession, we have the Blessing of the Market from the Washington Avenue stage, and that's where hopefully it's going to be Felicia this year. I don't know who it is, but last year she was the cantor of the Ave Maria, and it was absolutely beautiful. So we're hoping that will happen again this year. So we bless the market, but we're also going to bless the grease pole this year.
You know, this is
which might be fun, which is an activity in itself that I have no idea what's going to happen while we're blessing the grease pole.
Sounds hilarious. By the way, this is a great event for kids. You know, as Michelle was saying, they're going to have bounces, right?
Oh, yeah, we're going to have 2 areas of bouncies for kids.
Right.
One is going to be a big slide, and the other is a traditional bouncy with like 5 different activity inside of it, and that's all free. There's a lot of free activities.
All this free activity. And there is this year, because I wasn't sure about this for years prior, but a lot of physical, like free workouts and exercises and all that type of thing.
Right. For the first time this year, we added two free workouts from Charge Performance Gym, and that's going to be on Christian and Delhi, and it'll be at 11 o'clock and 2 o'clock. The head of the gym is going to run the workouts.
Okay, well, fantastic. Don't miss it. Saturday, May 20th, 11 o'clock into the afternoon, around 6
p.m.
6 p.m. And then Sunday, also 11 o'clock to 6 p.m. Well, listen, finally, today is Tuesday, and you know what that means? You got to get out and vote. Don't forget, polls close at 8 o'clock. Make sure you're out there voting, and I'll see you next week.
You've been listening to In the Know with David O. on 860 AM WWDB. Tune in again next Tuesday at 2 p.m. for more informative, substantive, intelligent talk radio with Philadelphia Councilman David O.